Okay, so it is day 5 of working on the doors and drawer faces for the kitchen, the half bath, and the laundry room, as well as the pantry cabinet that we built. And when I started this whole thing, I think it was day 1, I started thinking about when the Lord woke me up at 4 a.m. and like, hey, you need to make these. And you know, just thinking about Peter and Jesus calling Peter out of the boat to walk on the water and all that stuff. And let's see, one of the interesting things is, so they get done feeding the 5,000, and then they gotta pick up all of the bread and the fish and the leftovers. And then it says in verse 22, Matthew 14:22, immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. Well, if you keep reading, you know, by that time it's somewhere, the whole scene with Jesus walking on the water and Peter getting out of the boat, or where we see the boat anyway being buffeted by the wind and the waves, is somewhere between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And I started thinking about that. Why did he just make them get into the boat that late at night? Like, I'm thinking if I'm the disciples, and here I am somewhere between 3 and 6 a.m. and I'm stuck in this storm rowing across the sea, I think I'm going to be pretty frustrated, which actually happened to me during this whole thing with, by the way, these are the 39 door faces. 4 of those are actually drawer faces and 18 door faces that I get to sand today. But I started thinking a couple of days ago, I ran into an issue where one of my numbers was off and I had to recut some styles, like 4 to 6. But it was a really frustrating day. And I started thinking about the whole like wind and the waves and being buffeted by those things and just the hardship of what the Lord asks of you. And this particular scene, like, why did he make them get into the boat like right away? It's like, hey, you're done, go meet me on the other side. I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm the disciple, I'm kind of tired. You know, when I ran into this issue, I was kind of tired. I'm tired of this project. It's day 5 on these things. I'm kind of tired. I'm over the doors and drawer faces. So there's a little frustration going on. But what do you do with it? And like, why? He still asks you. And then I wonder, like, did Jesus know that there was a storm? You know, because in chapter 16, if you fast forward, the Pharisees, it says in verse 1, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees came, and to test him, they asked him to show them a sign from heaven. He answered them, when it's evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red, and in the morning it will be stormy today, for the sky is red and threatening. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. I started thinking, like, well, was the sky red at night? Like, do you think the disciples like, hey, it's not red, we're going to be in for a storm? I don't know. I just started thinking about those scriptures and started thinking about, why did he ask him? It was late, they were tired. Now there's a storm coming. They're in the middle of the storm. They're pushing through it. They're really not making much progress, which is kind of where I feel like I'm at, not making much progress. It seems like you get done with one thing and now you're like, here we go. We have still so much more to do and so far to go before these things get done. And I feel like it's just delaying me from quote unquote crossing the sea, right? Like, it's delaying me from actually finishing the rest of the house and getting the house listed and actually getting out of here to where we feel the Lord is actually calling us to be. But in all of that, the thing that I have to hang on to, if Jesus said it, it's going to happen. And if he started the whole thing, it was like, hey, get in the boat and cross the sea, I'll meet you on the other side. Well, they can be confident in the fact that Jesus was going to meet them on the other side. I can be confident in the fact that if God said to make these, then I need to make them. And so here we are, day 5, still trusting the Lord to get all of these things sanded and prepped and ready for painting. So yeah, those are my thoughts between Peter and the disciples. Sometimes, you know, just walking with the Lord is difficult. It's not always these mountain high experiences, but it's still rewarding. It's still rewarding. It's very cool to be working on a project and still have the Lord speak to you through what you're doing and the scriptures that you read. So anyway, that's my intro for day 5 of sanding. And I guess if I had to leave you with anything, I'll leave you with this. As I said it before, if you can trust the Lord for your eternity, you can trust him with what he's asking of you today.